The Sanderson sisters are back, and they're running amok 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 in Hocus Pocus 2. In this resurrection of the story, the only thing more petrifyingly plentiful than Winnie, Mary, and Sarah's antics are the hidden references to the first film. Stick around and we'll lift the spell to reveal these hidden gems.
There are so many reasons to see Hocus Pocus 2.
Number 1. It looks fabulous, doesn't it? Billy Butcherson's hair and the rest of his look don't seem to have aged a day, even though 29 years have passed since the first movie. Hocus Pocus 2 actor Doug Jones said, "To have all 4 of us back and looking almost exactly the same as we did almost 30 years ago, it looked like seconds had passed in 29 years because I was wearing a prosthetic. I'm exactly the same weight, exactly the same build as I was 29 years ago, so it looked freakishly the same. It was the same wig from the first movie. Turns out, the wig had been sitting on some display, but once it was needed, it was brought to set to head back where it belonged."
Thank you.
Number 2. Maybe it's a reference to the previous film, or maybe it's just a Mary thing. Either way, we're tickled to see Mary Sanderson barking up another tree in Hocus Pocus 2. Good girl, Mary. Now sit, shake a paw, and leave those children alone. Number 3. That signature Sanderson slant has been a defining part of Mary's character since the first moment we saw her in the first film. And with such attention to detail in Hocus Pocus 2, how could they miss one this distinct? Why is Mary's mouth stuck on the opposite side? In the original film, Mary's mouth slant is to the right. In Hocus Pocus 2, we notice it has shifted to the left. Kathy and Jimmy had her reasons, explaining, "It's on the other side mainly because it's so hard for me to do it on the side I did it on 30 years ago. We can justify it because there's a scene at the beginning where Winnie slaps me and my mouth goes to the other side and sticks."
It's just a surprise. You do a film, you don't know how people are going to react to it.
Number 4. In their effort to brew the life potion, the girls find themselves needing to retrace their steps from their previous night on Earth. This is in order to determine what they need to do next. While they're remembering their distant past, Mary recalls,
"We were in the cottage, the boys were in the cages, and that's when that sunrise tricked us, fake sunrise."
Describing a moment from the first film, Mary is referencing bullies Ice and Jay, who we last saw imprisoned in cages above the sisters' cauldrons in the first movie.
"We're really sorry. We think you're really cute."
Hush!
Number 5. You never know what you'll see. During the Sanderson sisters' search for the mayor, Winifred peeks through the window to find a couple watching a movie. While the antics of the Sanderson sisters often get the most screen time, if we pay careful attention in this moment, we notice that the movie this unsuspecting couple is watching, well, it's the original Hocus Pocus from 1993.
"Get out of my house!"
Make us.
Number 6. Clever nods and callbacks to the first film seem to be hiding everywhere in Hocus Pocus 2. Take Cassie's house, for example. When we compare it to Allison's mansion from the original film, we can't help but draw a comparison. Number 7. Cassie's uncanny house resemblance isn't the only thing we noticed on this doorstep. In Hocus Pocus 2, Cassie opens the door to greet Becca and Izzy, and steps out wearing a tie-dye shirt that bears a remarkable resemblance to the shirt Max wore at the beginning of the first film. Is this a nod to the original, or just another timeless tie-dye moment?
We have been waiting to hear that since we booked the movie, I think.
Number 8. Can a piece of clothing have a ghost? We might never know, but we do know that Cassie's tan-colored sweater in Hocus Pocus 2 sure does look a lot like Allison's sweater from the 1993 film. What are they trying to tell us here?
I know you guys are mad about that.
How could you not know?
Because you didn't tell me.
Number 9. Are we surprised? In the first film, Sarah and her sisters find themselves hiding from the townsfolk after they finished draining Emily Binks of her soul.
We are just 3 kindly old spinster ladies.
Winifred calls out through the door in an attempt to deceive the townsfolk. It might have worked if Sarah hadn't added loudly,
"Sucking the lives out of little children!"
Well, she does it again in Hocus Pocus 2. As Reverend Trasky and an angry mob of Salem citizens approach the Sanderson sisters' door in the opening sequence, young Sarah exclaims,
"We're not here!"
once again spoiling the Sanderson secret. Oh, Sarah.
It's just remarkable.
Number 10. Any Hocus Pocus story would feel incomplete without a signature musical number. particularly a haunting cover of the witchy classic One Way or Another. But to add to the charm and enchantment of this sequence, Hocus Pocus 2 has buried even more treasures for us to unearth, in the form of references to the first film. You might notice many of the dancers in this scene are wearing costumes from the first movie, including a Billy Butcherson costume, Mrs. Dennison's Madonna outfit, and even the three Sanderson sisters. Enchanté. Number 11. They just had to ask. While this moment might not have been scripted in the original, it was certainly a part of the viewing experience for many at the time. In the first Hocus Pocus, kids would ask and parents would tense up. Hocus Pocus 2 calls back to the experience of that scene with a nod to the first movie and even an answer from an on-screen character, Gilbert.
What's a virgin?
That is a person who has never lit a candle.
Number 12. Not all references to the first film are so obvious. Walking through the festival after school, Hocus Pocus 2 characters Becca and Izzy spot a billboard featuring Cassie's father, clearly a descendant of the Reverend from the 1600s Salem. On the billboard, just over the shoulder of Cassie's family portrait, you can see a photo of the original Dennison house from the first film. Number 13. We found the tale of the Sanderson sisters simply enchanting. Maybe that's why it has stood the test of time, even though they weren't able to fulfill their youthful quest in the first film. A few things from the first movie, however, didn't make it through the 29-year journey. Mary's flying vacuum, for one.
One of the things that I love about it is that it's so wholesome.
No, it seems the old Hoover must have given up the ghost somewhere along the way, and while Winnie seems to be able to summon a classically witchy broom anywhere she goes, Sanderson sisters Sarah and Mary were left to improvise once again.
It's taken away a little bit of the length of the runs we do and the kind of time we spend up high in the air.
Sarah trades her beloved mop from the first film for a slick Swiffer wet jet in Hocus Pocus 2. And Mary's hefty Hoover gets replaced by a pair of robotic vacuums that later come to their rescue when the sisters are trapped in a ring of salt. Magical.
That's our favorite part, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Number 14. No, we're not talking about collagen or elastin. This isn't the first time we've seen Winnie use Sarah as the guinea pig. The Sanderson sisters of Hocus Pocus 2 find themselves trapped in a circle of salt by an escaping Becca. To test the powers of the magical cage, Winifred pushes Sarah into the force field, smashing Sarah's face against the invisible barrier. We're reminded of the time Winnie used Sarah to test the safety of the Black River in the first film, leading Sarah to exclaim one of her most famous lines.
"'Tis firm!"
There is a magical garden's worth of charming references to the original film. So many that we're sure we've missed some. So what do you think? Share with us some of your favorite secret treats from Hocus Pocus 2.